Hi, welcome to this edition of the Daily News, where I'll be reading to you To a Sky-Lark by Shelley. In this edition, I will read you the poem, and we'll have great analysis from Maddie Smith and Leah Doherty, as well as myself. Now let me begin. Hail to thee, blithe spirit, thou bird ever wert, that from heaven, or near it, pourest thy full heart in profuse strains of unpremeditated art. Higher still and higher, from the earth thou springest like a cloud of fire. The blue deep thou wingest, and singing still dost soar, and soaring ever singest. And the golden lightning of the sunken sun, o'er which clouds are brightening, thou dost float and run, like an unbodied joy whose race is just begun. The pale purple eve melts around thy flight, like a star of heaven in the broad daylight. Thou art unseen, but yet I hear thy shrill delight. Keen as are the arrows of the silver sphere, whose intense lamp narrows in the white dawn clear, until we hardly see, we feel that it is there. All the earth and air with thy voice is loud, as when night is bare. From one lonely cloud the moon rains out her beams, and heaven is overflowed. What thou art we know not, what is most like thee? From rainbow clouds there flow not drops so bright to see, as from thy presence showers a rain of melody. Like a poet hidden in the light of thought, singing hymns unbidden, till the world is wroth to sympathy with hopes and fears is heeded. Like a high-born maiden in a palace tower, soothing her love-laden soul in secret hour, with music sweet as love, which overflows her bower, like a glowworm golden in a dell of dew, scattering unbeholden in aerial hue, among the flowers and grass which screen in from the view, like a rose embowered in its own green leaves, by warm winds deflowered, till the scent it gives makes faint with too much sweet those heavy-winged thieves. Sound of vernal showers on the twinkling grass, rain awakened flowers, all that ever was joyous, and clean and fresh, thy music doth surpass. Teach us, sprite or bird, what sweet thoughts are thine? I have ever heard praise of love or wine, that painted forth a flood of rapture so divine. Chorus Hymelian, or triumphal chant, matched with thine would be all but an empty vaunt, a thing wherein we feel there is some hidden want. What objects are the fountains of the happy strain? What fields or waves or mountains? What shapes of skies or plain? What love of thine own kind? What ignorance of pain? With the clear, keen joyance, languor cannot be. Shadows of ignorance never came near thee. Thou lovest, but near knew love in sad satiety. Waking or sleep, thou of death must deem things more true and deep than we mortals dream, or how could thy notes flow in such a crystal stream? We look before and after, and pine for what is not. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddened thought. Yet if we could scorn hate and pride and fear, if we were things born not to shed a tear, I know not how thy joy ever should come near. Better than all measures of delight and sound, better than all treasures that in a book are found, thy skill to poet were, thou scorner of the ground. Teach me behalf the gladness that thy brain must know. Such harmonious madness from my lips would flow, the world should listen to them, as I am listening. Now welcoming to our stage on Daily News, our poetry experts Leah Doherty and Maddie Smith are here to describe their analysis of To a Sky-Lark.
Our Section 1 analysis covers lines 1 through 30. The poem starts off with a joyful shout to the carefree and lighthearted spirit that is the skylark. By referring to the bird as a spirit, this initially lets the reader know that this bird represents so much more than just physical nature. The bird was never really a bird at all and was more of a spiritual representation from the heavens. The bird is pouring its heart out in song, which is deeper than a bird who typically half-heartedly sings. This bird has a reason for its song and a message to teach. The speaker begins to try to understand the bird by comparing its essence to that of a cloud of fire. The spirit flies throughout the sky and can be heard but not seen. The shrill sound of the bird pierces through the sky like arrows coming from a silver spear.
Our second analysis comes from lines 30 through 60. The second part is a multitude of similes. These are mainly all comparisons where in the end the beauty of something doesn't come from just the sight, it comes back to all the senses and emotions, or it all reflects back to the fact that the author believes that the skylark is an uncomparable being and nothing is better than listening to its heavenly sound. A quote is, "Like a rose embowered in its own green leaves by warm winds deflower till the scent it gives." This is one of the similes where this is the beauty of a rose, but the scent is more powerful than just the actual vision. Throughout all of these stanzas of similes, each one is uncomparable to the amazingness of the sound of the invisible
Thank you,
bird.
Leah and Maddie, for your great analysis on section 1 and 2. Now, I will describe to you the third section, which is lines 60 through the end of the story. The speaker wants to know what the source of the bird's repetitive happy melody might be. Is it the natural world, or is it what he sees higher above in the sky? The speaker wonders if the bird sings with the joy of never knowing what pain feels like. The bird is so happy that it could never even feel the shadow of annoyance. Then Shelley goes on to state that somewhere in its dreams or in its waking life, the skylark can see and understand things about the true nature of death. He thinks of the skylark not only as an immortal spirit, but also as an actual natural creature. The skylark can see beyond even the dreams and mortality. It understands the deep truth about death. Because it cannot die, he believes the bird can see beyond all human perception. That's the only way it could make such beautiful music. Then Shelley goes on to state, humans always look at the troubles they had in the past and future, and even their laugh is filled with pain and suffering. But at the same time, there is beauty in the sadness of their crying. Then Shelley goes on to think what life would be like without emotion. If we're born without pain and sorrow, maybe we would be able to reach great joy, like the joy of the skylark. The skylark's song is better than all human music in the world. Then Shelley admits that even his poem is not to the level of the skylark's beautiful music. The skylark writes and asks the skylark to teach him his beauty that is within the bird. He wishes to grasp the skylark's beauty and speak a harmonious madness that would push beyond the normal human limits. He just wants the world to listen to him as he listens to the skylark. Now that we're done with the analysis, we welcome Maddie Smith to our studio to talk about the central idea.
We decided that the central idea of To a Skylark had to do with how the author wants the skylark to teach us about how to handle our emotions. It mentions in the poem that how the skylark could teach us how to deal with trying to be happy even though when we're in pain and sorrow, and just that led the author to kind of think about the true concept of emotions and where they come from and how they interact with us.
Yeah, like Maddie said, that in the beginning of the poem, he sees we don't know if he sees the skylark in the sky, but he hears the skylark's sound, and the beautiful music that comes through the skylark's mouth is echoing down on people on the ground, and he wonders how the skylark can be in such a happy mood the whole time and sing such a beautiful song that is always echoing down on us. And he goes on to state that better than all measures of delight sound, better than all treasures that in a book are found, Thy skill to poet were, thy scorner of the ground. Teach me half the gladness that thy brain must know. Such harmonious madness from my lips would flow. In this part, he's stating that the bird has just such a beautiful sound, and he wants to learn from the bird. He wants to learn how the beautiful sound comes off his lips. And like he said before this, he thinks that all humans always look behind them and always look at the trouble that they have in the past, and they're slowed down by the trouble that they have in the past and are held back. But he says the Sky-Lark is nothing like this. He's nothing like the humans, in which he always flows in a direct motion, always straightforward motion, and keeps thinking about the present and about how the future has just a beautiful past. And when he sings the song, it's just a beautiful representation about how the present and the future will be beautiful, but us as humans keep looking towards the past and are let down by the past instead of looking towards the future.
So in conclusion, the central idea of the poem that we gathered was that we live in a world of pain and sorrow, and that if we didn't have pain and sorrow and sadness in our hearts, we could be just like the Sky-Lark and have the freedom in our hearts and be able to soar and be carefree and be able to sing a joyous song. However, we do have pain in this world and sorrow and sadness and things like that, so we never will fully be able to reach the potential of what the Sky-Lark has.
Yeah, like Leah said, the Sky-Lark is portrayed as a bird that does not feel pain and sorrow, and Shelley wishes that us as humans would be born without this emotion of pain and sorrow, just like the Sky-Lark does. But he, at the same time, he understands that that's kind of not possible, and that we do have this emotion and we have to deal with this emotion throughout our life. But however, he wants us as readers to listen to the story he has about this beautiful bird as he listened to the Sky-Lark and grasped the true idea of what the Sky-Lark really is.